Now where's Bear Grylls when you need him? The Mountain Between Us stars Idris Elba and Kate Winslet as a couple of strangers that meet in the middle of a winter storm, and they decide to take a flight because they need to be somewhere the next day for whatever reason. Most airlines are denying them passage because of this terrible storm that's going to hit pretty soon, but because it's so urgent to be somewhere, they have to take a private jet through the storm to get there. And of course, the plane crashes and these two strangers have to survive in the wilderness without any real food or water or supplies. It's just basically them out there in the mountains in the winter, and it is terribly cold. Now, this movie hasn't really received a lot of great reviews from critics, and I kind of understand why, but at the same time, I do think some of those are unfair critiques, especially if you've seen The Revenant. Because if you're watching The Revenant and then you watch this movie, you notice some very interesting differences between the two movies. They're both out in the wilderness in the cold and pretty much without supplies. But when you're watching The Revenant, you believe that they just stuck these actors out there in the cold and had them fend for themselves. While this one, you might think it feels more like a movie because the actors don't really seem to be as cold as Leonardo DiCaprio. They certainly don't have to eat raw meat, so that could be an issue. It shouldn't be too much of an issue because they are still established actors that know how to perform. But we'll get into that. First up is the people category. Like I said, with the acting, these are established actors, they know what they're doing, and for the most part, they do show a good range of emotions. They might not portray the roles as best as humanly possible because, like I said, you don't really feel like they are dying. You don't really feel that, but you do feel the emotions coming from them, and that is important to acting as well. So I'm going to say 2 out of 2 possible stars for that. What's a bit of a bummer is that the movie really revolves around these two people. There's not a lot of cast in this film. It's really just them, and when you have a movie that's centered on only 2 people, you kind of expect to remember the movie somewhat with the characters. And I didn't really sense a lot of great characteristics for them or great character development. You're not going to remember it for the characters. 1 out of 2 possible stars. Casting, I can't say that these are the best people for the roles, especially because they are third best. 2 different actors for the man and 2 different actresses for the women that were actually cast before Idris Elba and Kate Winslet were, so they're really third best. And looking at who was originally cast makes me think the movie might have been a little bit better had they not settled with Copper, third best. I don't know. For that, I'm just going to say 1 out of 2 possible stars because they weren't terrible. It just could have been better. Importance? Yeah, absolutely. There's really only 2 people, and they're really helping each other survive in the wilderness. 2 out of 2 possible stars for importance. Chemistry, I didn't really feel it. This is one of those things where the other cast members probably could have done it better, but obviously a big part of the movie was chemistry, especially when there's only 2 people in the film and how they grow together and how they help each other survive. I didn't really feel a natural chemistry between the 2. 1 out of 2 possible stars for chemistry. Writing score. Nothing really pops out with dialogue, nothing about how the people talk, nothing about what they say sticks out, so 1 out of 2 possible stars. Balance, it is a very balanced film. It's really all about survival, which is clear from the beginning to the end. 2 out of 2 possible stars. Story, I can't say there's really anything deep or meaningful about the story. It is what it is. 1 out of 2 possible stars. While I think some of it feels original, we've seen this type of movie quite a bit. And so for that, I'm going to have to say 1 out of 2 possible stars. Interesting? Yeah. Before I saw it, I was interested to see it. After I saw it, I was still interested while watching, so I'm going to give that 2 out of 2 possible stars. BTS. Behind the scenes. Visuals, well, I don't think there's anything specific about the visuals itself that is noticeable. I think it was okay. I'm going to say 1 out of 2 possible stars for that. What was interesting was the cinematography, how they used the camera, especially in the beginning of the movie when it was circling around these characters inside this tiny little plane, and the way it was done was fascinating to me. I thought they did a good job there. Director gets 2 out of 2 possible stars. Editing, just the same. I'm sure it wasn't a one-shot. It did feel like that, and I think that's to be attributed to the editor, and I think the editor ultimately did a pretty good job at putting together the movie. Whether you like it or hate it, I think he did a good job. 2 out of 2 possible stars. I think it was as advertised, no false advertisement there. 2 out of 2 possible stars. Music, nothing really stuck out there. 1 out of 2 possible stars. Narrative arc score. Introduction, you get introduced to the characters and why they need to have a flight right then and there, which ultimately gets them stuck in the snow, which is the inciting incident. Obviously, crossing of the threshold, you can't go back from there, you're stuck out there. Obstacles, it's man versus nature, so there's a lot more than just bad weather that's threatening their lives. The climax, a little anticlimactic. I think for the most part, I never sensed a moment that is like the epiphany moment that gets them to the very end. Climax, a little anticlimactic, so that's going to get half points. And the falling action does calm down and return to a new norm, which is great. So all in all, the climax, half points there. Narrative arc gets 9 out of 10 possible stars. Entertainment. Rewatchability, I'd probably watch it again. I don't think I will be going to look for it anytime soon, but I wouldn't mind watching it if it was on TV and I happened to see it or saw it on a schedule and didn't mind seeing it, or if a friend wanted to watch it, I'd watch it with them. I just don't think I'm going to personally go looking for it anytime soon. 1 out of 2 possible stars. Did I have fun while watching? I think so. Their situation, while it might not be completely original in film standard, it is suspenseful in a way, so for that I'm going to give 2 out of 2 possible stars. Do I have an impulse to buy it? Not really. I don't really care to have this in with my collection of movies. I'm going to give this 0. Do I have an impulse to talk about other than this review? Not really. 0. Does it suck the audience in? I think for the big moments in the movie, it definitely sucks the audience in. But there are slow moments here and there that might be easily distractible from. So for that, I'm going to give it 1 out of 2 possible stars. Specialty. Alright, we're going to first look at the genre-specific parts of the specialty. It is listed as an adventure, drama, and romance movie. With drama, it's definitely there. It has a lot of dramatic aspects to it. 10 out of 10 possible stars for that. Adventure aspect, there's a lot of walking around. Maybe not so much as, say, Lord of the Rings, but there's a lot of adventuring and trying to figure out what's going on in the wilderness. 10 out of 10 possible stars for that. Romance was definitely an aspect of the film, for sure. However, like I said, I didn't really feel the chemistry between the two in the movie. So, for the most part, I'm just going to say 5 out of 10 possible stars for that. A good up-and-comer is Idris Elba. He's been in quite a few things now, but he's always impressing me with his ability to act. This film, not so much. I think he did a great job, but this isn't a movie I'm going to really remember him for. But because he did alright, I'm going to give him half points and say 5 out of 10 possible stars. Halfway decent. I think for the most part they made the movie that they wanted to. Like it or hate it, they did their job, and that deserves a handshake. 10 out of 10 possible stars. If we add all that together, we get 75 out of 100 possible stars, 75%. Not a bad movie, pretty decent. Not as bad as people have made it out to be, but sure, there are things here and there that could have been easily improved. And guys, tell me what you thought of The Mountain Between Us in the comments down below, and as always, follow me on Track TV and Twitter at username IAMDWG, that's IMDWG, and for YouTube, you can subscribe to me, hit that like button, and hit that bell to be notified when I come out with my next review, which won't be until Wednesday of next week because I'm observing Christmas. That review will be The Foreigner with Jackie Chan. So stick around for that, and of course, guys, have a Merry Christmas, and peace out.